Welcome to Ways of Water. We acknowledge the Wurundjeri people of the Kulin Nations as the traditional custodians of the land on which we gather and pay our respect to elders past and present. Our project proposal begins with our experience of the site, where a key problem that stood out was the pollutants in the storm drainage. Now we'll go deeper into site analysis.
Starting with the locality. Our site sits within the Swinburne University campus in Hawthorn. It's framed by three main roads: Glenferrie Road, Durwood Road, and William Street, which define the campus edges and influence how people access the site. The area is well connected through the Glenferrie train station, and although it's surrounded by several green parks, the campus itself currently lacks a strong ecological connection to these surrounding landscapes. Looking more closely at the site conditions, we identified several pool water catchment areas where surface runoff currently pools or drains inefficiently. These are often linked to the polluted zones formed by hardscapes and limited vegetation. Our contour analysis shows the site naturally slopes towards the east side of campus. This existing gradient provides an opportunity for stormwater to flow and collect naturally, a key driver in positioning our proposed wetland system. The special building overlay highlights flood-prone areas within the site. We've used this overlay as the main boundary for our proposal, focusing on areas most vulnerable to flooding and using design as a preventative response to future water-related issues. Through our tide flow simulation, we modeled how stormwater moves and where it accumulates during heavy rainfall events. Supporting this, the rainfall data shows an annual average of around 665 millimeters, with October being the wettest month and February as the driest. This information guided how we shaped the wetland and its planting zones, designing for a high water retention during the wetter months while maintaining plant species that can survive and adapt through the dry summer conditions. Our site border follows the SPO overlay, which highlights areas most at risk of flooding across the campus. By using this as our boundary, we're directly responding to existing flood conditions while preparing for future water impacts, ensuring the wetland sits where it can have the greatest environmental effect. We then mapped existing pedestrian circulations across the site. This shows currently how pedestrians move through the campus. Moving forward, to allow the wetland to flow seamlessly through the area, we're proposing a street closure along William Street, enabling the water system and pathways to connect both sides of campus. Furthermore, some buildings along this corridor will need to be redesigned to integrate water trails at the ground level, creating a more interactive, responsive landscape. Finally, we considered the existing Indigenous circle on campus, using it as a focal point for an Indigenous journey that moves through the landscape, connecting stories of land, water, and culture. Moving forward, we've created native plant zones into 4 different zones. Zone 1 being open water, forming the wetlands core and supporting aquatic life. Zone 2 being the shallow marsh, which is filtering runoff through native sedges and rushes. Zone 3 being riparian or bank zone, stabilizing edges and supporting biodiversity. And lastly, Zone 4 being the upper buffer zone, acting as a transitional layer that protects the wetland from urban runoff.
To help us with our water paths, we leveraged simulation to find the direction of water. Here we also were able to use simulation to find targeted areas in the SPO layer. We experimented with surface manipulations and found that a curved zigzag form most effectively captures and directs water flow. During our first trial, we made sure to stay within that SPO layer to run through the target zones we had determined. To increase the efficiency, we added another 2 trails so that we could capture more water. In iteration 3, we increased curvature and added collection pools at key inflow points, including a main basin near the car park, yielding our most effective result yet. Now for our wetland park proposal. Water in Aboriginal knowledge is seen as a living ancestor moving through cycles of renewal. Our design echoes this rhythm, a journey from source to sea. using the existing terrain defining key zones with the SBO layer marking the site boundary to honour movement, renewal and respect for country. This is Ways of Water. We begin in Central Gardens. This is the birth zone in our Indigenous mapping plan. Here we have a musical rain garden where each pavilion features different roof designs to create different sounds using different water patterns. The garden uses these instruments so that it can create unique sounds for the user to hear in a sensory experience. Bringing us over to the next zone, the workshops. Considering that the water paths run along the proto-lab, we wanted to create a space that harmonises with what's already there and what is going on. We found this a great opportunity to merge Aboriginal culture with crafting with sedges and aquatic plants. To revitalise the unused road, we plan to introduce a student market where they can sell the items they create, linking back to Swinburne's identity as a creative learning space. The Confluence Zone is a meeting place of water and knowledge, inspired by yarning circles, spaces for sharing and listening. Here stories of country and water are projected and exchanged, fostering connection and reflection. As water merge, so do people to share stories. Park landscape creates learning, social and rest spaces that flow with the land, harmonising with natural forms and Aboriginal principles of balance with country. At the park's end, simulation revealed the final buffer zone captures and directs the most water here. This is filtered through dense aquatic planting. Zone 4, See and Return, a floating particle gallery, features glass artwork by an Indigenous consultant angled towards the morning sun to symbolise renewal and continuity. This zone embodies return, reflection and transformation, marking water's journey of gathering and renewal. Land and water are one, each shaping the other. Harmony begins when we live alongside water, not apart from it.